Hi, today I'm going to show you how to upcycle an old art piece into a new art piece. Let's get started. A while back I picked up this little canvas piece at a thrift store and it's been sitting on my shelf. So today I decided to get it out. I gave it a light coat of gesso just to cover up what was on there, and then started pulling out some pieces of paper that I wanted to glue down to the background for this new piece. So I have some jelly prints, some book pages, some corrugated cardboard, just a variety of pieces that I pulled out of my paper stash that all kind of coordinate and go well together. So I'm just using matte medium and tore them into pieces, and I'm just randomly gluing them down to the surface of this little canvas. And I'm not sure what kind of paint I used on my jelly plate when I made that piece that I just laid down there, but it bled a little bit. I'm not sure, it must have been in maybe a distress paint or something that was water soluble. The rest are acrylics. That little black and white kind of polka dotty piece will give me trouble later on, as you'll see. And just as an aside, in between each phase of this, I do make sure that it's really dry before I go on to the next one. There are some segments where I show you that I'm drying it. Other times I just left it to dry. So here I found some tissue paper that I had stamped with a script stamp. So I just tore it into strips, and I'm going to cover the edges of the canvas with the tissue paper. These thinner papers that I'm using are really easy to adhere to this canvas and to get the corners and edges to lay down nice and flat. So for my second layer, I pulled the corrugated cardboard back out, and I have some of these deli papers that I painted on the gel press, and I cut them into strips to kind of mimic washi tape, and I'm just going to pull a few out and size them and get them laid down where I think I'd like them for the second layer of the background. For this last layer, I'm going to need a little more support underneath the canvas, so I layered a couple of old books that fit just nicely in there to give some more stability. Now I want to try to bring all these different papers kind of together more cohesively and also kind of push them back a little. So I'm just putting some white gesso on my craft mat and using my rubber brayer to just get a fine layer of gesso going across all of the papers. Doing it to the front and also to all of the edges. And then just taking a baby wipe and kind of evening things out just a bit, lightening them up a little bit where the gesso got a little heavier. And then, so at this point my camera shut off and I didn't realize it. So I used some bottle caps and some Payne's Gray acrylic and some Q-tips and made those little circular marks on the canvas that you see there. And then I pulled out some Tim Holtz paper dolls that I wanted to put on here, and I'm just going around the edges and across the front too with this sepia archival ink to bring the colorway of those paper dolls closer to the colors that I have in the background of this piece. So I'm using the sepia, and it, rather than the gray and white, the monochrome colors that they come in, I just wanted to give them a little brownish tint to go with the orangey colors that I have going on in the background. And then let it dry. That ink needs some time to dry really well before you go to glue it down. So I'm using the heavy matte medium, the heavy gel matte medium, to glue those little paper dolls down. And my fingertips are covered in glue at this point, so I'm using the end of my paintbrush to push them into that corrugated cardboard. So I went looking in my stash for something dimensional to add to this, and I just found some ball chain, a little piece that is in like a tarnished brass, and another little piece that was actually kind of an orange color. So I just put some heavy gel matte medium down in the channel of that corrugated cardboard using my stylus tool and threaded the ball chain through, and I really like the way it looks. Trying to bring you in a little bit closer here so you can maybe see the ball chain detail a little better. So then I grabbed the Payne's Gray paint again and watered it down quite a lot on my craft mat, and just using a fan brush I'm spattering the background here with the Payne's Gray. I'm using those pieces of paper to cover up the paper dolls so they don't get a lot of spatters on them. And then I have these 7 Gypsies Parchment rub-on transfer sheets. This particular set is called Live. And so I pulled out a couple of pieces that I wanted to transfer onto the center of this piece. And they're really cool. It's parchment paper that's impregnated with a black ink, and you just rub it on like you would any other rub-on. And you get this huge big sheet with just a ton of different elements, words and images that you can just cut apart and rub on. So that's what I'm doing here. And this is where I said that little black and white polka dotted piece of paper in the background gave me trouble, because I didn't notice that I'm putting the black ink over top of those black and white polka dots, and it caused a couple of the words in this phrase to be unreadable, so I had to punt and fix those right there. It says live as if there's no tomorrow, and the there is was kind of obscured by those black and white polka dots. So now I'm taking a little more extra time to decide where I want to put this image so that the same thing doesn't happen. And you just rub it down with a, you can use a craft stick like I'm doing here, or a bone folder, the credit card, side of a spoon, whatever you happen to have that will work to rub it on. And you just rub till you don't see any more little black specks of ink, and you really get a good impression. So here we're coming to the end, and I just decide I need to fix those words so they're a little more readable. So what I did was I took my black Pitt pen and my white Posca paint pen, and first I filled in around each letter with the black pen and dried that really well, and then I took the Posca paint pen and filled in the white behind those letters, and then went back and touched up the black, just filled it in a little bit more so that the letters that were buried were readable again. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and in the meantime, go make some art. Bye.